Chapter 5 of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda. The Maid, Manthara. Apadamahartaram dhataram sarvasampadam lokabhiramam Shri Ramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyam. On the day the king announced his intention to crown Rama, the city began to don the garb of gaiety and happiness. That evening, a servant maid of Kaikeyi, Manthara by name, happened to go up to the terrace of the palace. It was sheer chance which prompted this woman to do so, since usually she was not in the habit of doing so, deformed as she was because of a hunch in her back. The terrace, which was as white and beautiful as a stream of moonlight, attracted her. Perhaps it was fate which made her ascend the steps of the terrace of the queen's palace. She stood near the parapet of the terrace and looked down at the city of Ayodhya. Something out of the way struck her. The streets were covered with flowers, and the scent of the water, which had been sprinkled on them, reached her. There were banners fluttering everywhere. The people were all looking greatly excited, and there seemed to be excessive joy writ on their faces. She could hear music, and she was intrigued as to what the great event was, which the people seemed to be celebrating. Even as she was wondering, she saw a maid passing by. This maid was wearing white silk garments, and her eyes were dancing with joy. Manthara accosted her and asked her, "Tell me, what is all this excitement about? What is to happen? Rama's mother seems to be giving away gifts to everyone around. I have never seen it happen before. The citizens seem to be very happy too. What is the provocation?" The maid, who was standing by, smiled happily and said, "How is it you do not know about it? Tomorrow, early in the morning, the emperor is desirous of crowning noble-minded Rama as the Yuvaraja. There is nothing but joy in the heart of everyone, and that is why the city is looking so happy." Manthara could hardly stand there listening to her words. Uncontrollable anger filled her heart, and with the maid watching her with wondering eyes, she hobbled down the steps of the terrace without speaking even a word in reply. Manthara went straight as an arrow into the chambers of Kaikeyi, the young queen. She was the beautiful mother of Bharata, lying down on a couch, half asleep. Manthara rushed up to her and said, "Get up, you stupid women. This is not the time to lie down. Great danger is approaching you. You will soon be drowned in a sea of sorrow, and without being aware of it, you recline on the couch as though nothing has happened. You are blinded by the assurance that the king is lost in you, that he loves you more than he loves anyone else. Can you not see that the love of the king is like a summer stream, short-lived?" Kaikeyi paid no attention to the words of Manthara. Evidently, she knew the old woman who had come to Ayodhya with her when she was married. She had been with her ever since she was a child, and she was granted certain privileges because she had brought up Kaikeyi. After a while, the queen looked at her and said, "Manthara, I hope you are well. Your face looks as though you are sick. You seem to be unhappy about something. What is bothering you?" Manthara stood fuming with anger. After a while, composing herself, she said, "Madam, the king is contemplating your destruction even at this very moment. He is planning to crown Rama as Yuvaraja tomorrow. As for me, concerned as I am about you and your welfare, I feel I am being burnt up by grief and anger. You will be destroyed, my queen, and I have come to you hoping to find a way to save you. Kaikeyi, you know how much I love you. Your happiness is my happiness, and when danger threatens you, it threatens me too. You were born as the daughter of a king, and you have been the dear queen of an emperor. How is it then you do not know about the intrigues in the royal court? Your lord, the king, talks glibly about dharma but he is deceiving you. He speaks words steeped in honey, but at heart he is cruel. You are very simple, trusting, and very innocent. You are not able to perceive the truth about the nature of the king. All these years, he has been talking to you words of such sweetness that you have not been able to see through his deception. Look, he is now granting all good fortunes to Kausalya and not to you. With evil designs forming in his mind, he has sent away your son to the kingdom of Kekeya, and when there is no obstruction in his path, he is going to establish Rama on the throne. You do not know it, but the king is really your enemy. He is like a serpent. Since he is your husband, you have never questioned his actions, and like a mother does her child, you have taken the serpent in your hands and placed it on your lap. And an enemy or a serpent, when unnoticed, is sure to hurt, and that is what the king is doing now. You are a mother, and your motherhood is being ignored. It is time for you to wake up from this dream of security. Seek the good of your son and thus save yourself from calamity, and me too along with you. Kaikeyi had not even bothered to get up from her couch. The words of Manthara, "The king is crowning Rama as the Yuvaraja tomorrow," were all she heard. She would not listen to anything else. She was full of happiness, and her face became as charming as the moon during the season by name Sharat. Pleasure and surprise were writ on her face. Impulsively, she removed a costly necklace from her neck and gave it to Manthara, saying, "O Manthara, what a glorious thing to happen, and you have brought me the good news. Take this as my gift for making me happy. If you want anything more, ask of me. I am so happy. My Rama is to be the Yuvaraja tomorrow." She paused for a moment and continued, "I am very pleased by the decision of the king. I have never made any difference between Rama and Bharata as far as my love is concerned. They are both my sons. I am well pleased with this event. You could not have given me any news more welcome than this." Manthara, filled as she was with hatred, anger, and grief, flung the jewel on the floor. Kaikeyi could not understand why she was behaving like this. She stared with her eyes wide open in wonderment. Manthara said, "How careless about yourself and your future can you be, that you can rejoice at this? You still do not seem to realize that it means nothing but sorrow for you. You are, indeed, very childish. Only a woman like you will rejoice at the good fortune that has befallen another queen or the king. Tomorrow, during the time when the star Pushya is in the ascent, the wise men of the court will perform the Abhisheka of Kaushalya's son. Is it not evident that the king really favors Kaushalya and not you? With the obstacle in her path wiped away, Kausalya will be the favorite of all. Everyone will attend on her hereafter, since she will be the queen mother, and as for you, you will also stand by as one of her handmaidens. Your son Bharata will have to be a serf to Rama." Manthara paused for breath. She was still fuming with rage and frustration since Kaikeyi would not listen to her. The queen intervened and said, "Manthara, Rama is righteous, and he has been trained in the path of Dharma by the best of men. He is a noble and gentle soul. He is not enamored of wealth or kingdom. He is the eldest son of the king, and it is but right that he should be crowned as the Yuvaraja. Throughout his lifetime, he will protect his brothers and all his kinsfolk like a father will his children. Why do you feel so strongly about this? After 100 years of Rama's rule, Bharata will become the king. The present event, Rama's coronation, is welcomed by all as a happy event. Why should you and only you be unhappy? Bharata is no doubt dear to me, but Rama is greater than even Bharata. He loves me more than he does his mother Kausalya. He loves his brothers so much that it is immaterial whether Rama is the king or Bharata. The kingdom will belong to both of them and to their brothers too." Manthara sighed as though her heart had already been broken, and with her voice choked with tears, she said, "What am I to do with you and your foolishness? You are surrounded on all sides by the terrible danger which will lead you to eternal sorrow. This sea is threatening to engulf you, and you refuse to realize it. Listen to me very carefully, Kaikeyi. Rama will become the monarch. It will be his son who will rule after him and not your son. Bharata will be just an object of ridicule. Remember, all the sons of the king are not entitled to be the heirs. If it were so, there will be many difficulties which have to be faced, and that is why the rule has been laid down that the king should be allowed to use his discretion to choose one of his sons as his successor. Your son is destined to be ignored by all and be treated as an underling. I came to you because I wish you well, and you do not seem to understand me. Your rival, Kaushalya, seems to have come into her own, and you rejoice so much over it that you reward me with a jewel for bringing you the dire news. I assure you of one fact. Once he is firmly established on the throne, Rama will either banish Bharata from the country or even seek his death. Bharata is a pure-minded youngster, and he is away in his uncle's house in Kekeya. Do you not know the simple truth that love thrives only when the persons are with you all the while? Shatrughna is devoted to Bharata even as Lakshmana is to Rama, and Shatrughna has gone with Bharata. The world knows well the affection which exists between Rama and Lakshmana. Rama will never injure Lakshmana, but the same cannot be said about his treatment of Bharata. I assure you, Rama will try to harm Bharata. I suggest that you send word to your son to go away to the forest from the palace of the Kekeya king. However, if it is possible for Bharata to be made the heir to this ancient kingdom of Koshala, then it will be a matter of pride to you and to those who are devoted to you. It stands to reason that Rama will not treat your son as a brother, since Bharata will be a rival to him. Accustomed as he is to luxury and comforts, how can Bharata expect the same life after the coronation of Rama? He will be like an elephant in the forest oppressed by a lion. You are the only one capable of saving him. Again, think of yourself. What have you been doing all these years? The king has chosen you as his favored queen, and pride had gone to your head so much that you have constantly insulted Kausalya. Now that she has a chance to retaliate, do you think the Queen Mother, as she soon will hesitate to assert herself and punish you for your arrogance? The moment Rama is crowned, all your privileges as the dear queen of Dasharatha will be at an end, and insults will be heaped on you and your son. Bharata will be destroyed. I hope you have realized the truth of my words, at least now. Make haste and think of a method by which Bharata will be crowned and Rama banished from Koshala. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Ram Arpanamast. Chapter 6 of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda. Kaikeyi's decision. Om Shri Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. The poison began to work. Manthara's words had the desired effect, and Kaikeyi, who was all love for Rama, changed suddenly. Her face was now flushed with anger, and sighs escaped her. She said, "You are right, Manthara. You are right. Rama has to be banished. I will today, at this very moment, send Rama away to the forest. I will summon Bharata from Kekeya and crown him as the Yuvaraja. Manthare, tell me how I am to accomplish this. Rama should go and Bharata should be the king. How am I going to do it? Think deeply and advise me as to how I can do it." The sinful hunchback spoke slowly and deliberately. May the gods be praised that you have come to your senses finally. I will tell you how to achieve the crowning of Bharata and the exile of Rama. Kaikeyi, have you forgotten something which happened long ago? You confided it to me then, and evidently you have forgotten it, or perhaps you do not remember having told me about it. If you wish that I should repeat what you once told me, I shall do so to please you. Kaikeyi rose up a little from the couch where she was leaning and said, I am not playing a game with you, nor do I remember anything which I told you. I am impatient. Tell me how I can make Bharata king instead of Rama. Manthara spoke with a wicked smile, lighting her ugly face. I want you to go back several years. Do you remember the war in the high heavens when the Devas fought with the Asuras? King Dasharatha had been asked by Indra to help, and he went, and with him you. Sambara was the Asura who was the chief enemy of Indra. During the night, the Asuras entered the encampment and they began to kill the men there. Your husband fought with all of them, and finally he fell down senseless. Dasharatha was hurt. You carried him away from the sight of danger. Hurt as he was by the arrows and rendered senseless by his wounds, Dasharatha was nursed by you and his life was saved by you. Pleased with you and your devotion, he granted you 2 boons then. You said, I do not need them. If at any time I need them very badly, I will ask you for them. So be it, said the king, and there the matter ended. You once told me about this, and I have not forgotten it. Kaikeyi, the time has come when you must ask the king to grant you these 2 boons. One of the boons will be the crowning of Bharata as the Yuvaraja, and with the other you can have Rama banished to the Dandaka forest for a duration of 14 years. This is the way to force the hand of the king and to assure yourself that Bharata will be king. Kaikeyi was listening silently to the words of Manthara. The wicked mentor continued, Kaikeyi, you must enter the chamber called Krodhagraha, the chamber where you stay when you are angry about anything. Remove these beautiful silks you are wearing and dress yourself in soiled clothes. Lie on the bare ground as though you have been weeping for a long time and that you are unhappy. The king will surely come to see you tonight. Behave as though you are very angry. Do not talk to him. Do not receive him when he comes to you, nor should you reply when he talks to you. You are very dear to the king, and he will even fall into the blazing fire if you so desire. I have no doubt about his love for you. He cannot bear to see you angry or unhappy. He will try to pacify you in every way. He will say that he will even give up his very life if it was to please you. Remember that the king loves you to distraction. He cannot refuse you anything. When he sees you on the ground, he will try to placate you with gifts of gems and pearls and lovely ornaments. Be very careful and do not be distracted by these. Remind him of the boons he granted you in the days of yore, and make him promise you that he will grant you anything you like, and then make him grant you these boons. Everything depends on you and on your firmness. He must promise to give you anything you ask for, and then, and only then, should you mention the boons and ask for them. When the boons are granted, you should tell him what they are. You should say, send Rama to the forest for the duration of 14 years and make my son Bharata the Yuvaraja. If Rama is away in the forest for this long time, your son will be able to establish himself firmly on the throne and nothing can dislodge him. Remember, you must make sure that Rama is banished. That is the one and only way to make your son's future secure. Rama, who will be away from the kingdom for 14 years, will soon be forgotten by the people, and that boon should be granted by the king at any cost. You must make sure of that. Do not let your mind weaken when the king appeals to you to change your mind. Kaikeyi listened to the words of Manthara carefully, and she decided to do as she was told. Alas, this princess had till then been famed for her sweet nature. The entire city of Ayodhya knew about the affection she had for Rama and about the respect with which Rama treated her. He spent more time with her than with Kausalya, and Kaikeyi was pleased with it. Even Bharata did not enjoy the privileges which Rama did at the hands of Kaikeyi. But because of the evil genius in the shape of the sinful Manthara, she agreed to do something which she would never have done on her own. Evil was so disguised that it appeared to be good, and Manthara, who was clever enough to know the workings of the mind of Kaikeyi, took advantage of her weakness and killed the goodness in her. With a glad heart, Kaikeyi spoke to her. She said, "You are my well-wisher. You are my well-wisher, and no one has thought of my future as you have. You are a very wise woman, and I did not know it till now. But for you, I would never have known the real nature of the king. Manthara, my beautiful Manthara, when my Bharata becomes king, I will decorate this hump of yours with golden ornaments. I am very grateful to you." With a smile, Manthara brushed aside all her words and said, "Kaikeyi, that is all in the distant future. At the moment, you must hurry and set about the task ahead of you. Evening is fast approaching, and this is the time when the king comes to you. Prepare yourself before he arrives." Kaikeyi, the proud and beautiful queen of Dasharatha, went to the sulking room, and Manthara went with her. She took off her precious jewels, necklaces of pearls, golden bracelets, earrings, and all the many auspicious jewels which a woman wears. She removed her costly silks too and dressed herself in an old soiled silk. She then spoke to Manthara and said, "Manthara, my mind is made up. When Rama goes to the forest, Bharata will rule the kingdom. If I am not able to achieve this, consider me to be dead. You can rest assured that the king will not be able to make me change my mind with offerings of gold and gems. Until Rama leaves for the forest, I will not wear flowers, I will not use perfumes, and I will not darken my eyes with collyrium. I promise you I will succeed in my attempt." Kaikeyi removed all the auspicious jewels, and with the flowers and gems and jewels lying about her, this beautiful queen of Dasharatha lay on the ground and looked like a Kinnara woman who had lost all her punya and had been flung down to the earth. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Ramarpanamastu. Chapter 7 of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda. Dasharatha comes to Kaikeyi. Apadamahartaram dhataram sarvasampadam lokabhiramam Shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. The king, in the meantime, had made haste to make the final arrangements for the coronation. When he felt that he had attended to everything, Dasharatha assured that Rama's coronation was certain to take place in the morning, hurried to the apartments of Kaikeyi to tell her himself about the morrow, knowing fully well that she would be happy. He entered the chambers and looked around and did not see her. Lost as he was in his love for her, the king felt very disappointed that he could not see her at once. Even a single moment seemed to him like a year. He looked around again and still he could not find her. This had never happened before. Never once had she failed him. Kaikeyi would always be found at the doorway waiting for her lord, and this was the first time this had happened. The watchman there came to the presence of the king, stood humbly before him and said, "My lord, the queen is very angry about something and she has entered the Krodha Graha." Dasharatha was taken aback at the words of the attendant. His mind was in a turmoil, and he hurried to where Kaikeyi was. To his dismay, he saw the queen lying on the ground. Around her lay her jewels and flowers, gleaming in the dark like stars in a sky bereft of the moon. The old king looked at his young wife, who was dearer to him than his very life. She looked like a creeper which had been uprooted and had lost its hold on a tree, like a goddess who had been hurled down from heaven, like a deer caught in a hunter's net, like an elephant hurt by a poison arrow. Dasharatha went near her and stroked her with his hands. He spoke to her with a voice full of affection and concern. He said, I cannot guess what has happened to you. What has upset you? Have you been insulted by anyone? Did anyone hurt you with cruel words? My dearest queen, it pains my eyes to see you lying in the dust on the ground. Maybe you are unwell. Shall I send for the physicians? Has anyone wronged you? Should I punish anyone? Please do not weep. These tears do not become you. Do you desire to send to his death anyone who is innocent? Or do you want me to leave unpunished one who deserves to be punished? If you want me to leave, please make haste and tell me what you desire. I cannot live without you and your smiles. You know the wealth of love I have for you. I swear by all the punya I have accumulated to do as you please. Evidently, you want something and you feel shy to ask me. Do not hesitate. First, get up from this floor and then tell me what is worrying you. Reassured that the king would grant her what she desired, Kaikeyi began to talk. I am not unwell, she said, nor have I been insulted by anyone. I am eager to get something done and only you will be able to satisfy my wishes. You told me just now that you would do so. If you swear that you will do what I ask you to do, then and only then will I tell you what I want. The poor king, smitten with love for this beautiful woman, smiled a little at her elaborate preface and caressing her head with his hands, he said, Kaikeyi, you know how much I love you. You mean everything to me. If at all there is anyone dearer to me than you, it is Rama, my child. I now swear in the name of Rama that I will grant you anything you ask for. Rama is my very life to me, and I repeat, I do swear by him that you can ask what you want and get it from me. Ask and put an end to my suffering. He paused for a moment and said, Kaikeyi, if I do not see him for more than a few moments, my life threatens to leave my body. So dear is Rama to me. Can you still doubt my words when I have sworn by him that I will grant you your wish? Do not have any doubts about my words. It is a solemn promise. Like a king cobra uncoiling itself, Kaikeyi raised herself from the floor and looked at the king. There was triumph in her glowing eyes, since she knew that her desire would be fulfilled. The king had sworn in the name of Rama. She said, You have promised to grant me my wish. Let Indra and the Devas bear witness to your words. Let the sun, the moon, the sky, and the planets be my witness. Let the heavens and the earth listen to me. This great king, who has never once swerved from the path of Dharma, who has never spoken an untruth, has agreed to give me what I desire. Dasharatha was listening to her with a smile on his lips and wonderment because of the words she was using to make sure of his promise. Kaikeyi said, Listen, my lord, if you will take your mind back several years, you will remember the war between the Devas and the Asuras when you were asked to fight with Sambhara. During that war, there was a time when I saved your life, and in appreciation, you granted me 2 boons. I had told you that I would ask you for them when I needed something badly. The time has come when I want them. Please be good enough to give me those 2 boons. If you refuse to grant them after promising to, I will give up my life. I will now tell you what I desire. Please listen to me very carefully. You have made all preparations for Rama to be crowned as the Yuvaraja. Let the preparations remain as they are. Only, I want Bharata to be crowned instead of Rama. As for the other boon, wearing deer skin and tree bark, Rama should spend 14 years in the Dandaka forest. I want my son Bharata to be crowned, and it is up to you to keep your word and do the needful. I want Rama to be banished today, this very moment. You have been famed the world over for your truthfulness and for your walking in the path of Dharma always. You belong to a line of kings well known for their righteousness. Do not disgrace the name of your house by refusing to grant me my boons after promising to give me anything I ask for. Dasharatha was too surprised by her words to react at once. He was stunned. Suddenly he realized what she had said, and he fell down in a faint. He recovered after a while and then said, "Am I dreaming? Is this a nightmare? Or am I losing my reason? Is it an incident which happened in my previous birth which I am remembering now? Am I sick, and is this a distortion of my mind which makes me think I heard these words from Kaikeyi?" He looked at Kaikeyi and she stood silent as though waiting for an answer from him. He trembled like a deer which is threatened by a tigress. He realized that it was no nightmare but reality which faced him. He was sorely distressed and he could not speak a word. He was like a serpent which had been bound by the chanting of spells and had been rendered immobile. He sighed as though his very life were ebbing away from him, and then sat on the ground. He tried to talk but fainted again, unable to bear the sorrow which had visited him. So he lay for a long time and came to his senses again. Anger now took the place of sorrow, and he spoke to Kaikeyi. "What a cruel woman you are! I had not realized what a wicked woman you are until now. You seem to be set on the destruction of my entire house. What have I done that you should punish me thus? What have you against Rama that you wish him to be banished? He did you no wrong. He is ever devoted to you, and he considers you to be as dear to him as Kausalya. How then can you think ill of him? I brought you to my home as my bride and made you my favorite queen. I did not realize that I had brought a poisonous serpent and foolishly clasped it to my bosom. The entire world is all praise for the goodness that is Rama. What fault have you found in him that you should hate him so? How will I justify my act when I am questioned about Rama's exile? I can live without Kausalya or Sumitra. I am prepared to give up even my kingdom, but I can never give up Rama. When my eyes light on Rama's face, my heart becomes full of joy, and when he is not with me, I am the most unhappy of all beings. The world may live without the sun. Plants may be able to live without water, but I will not be able to live once I am parted from Rama. Abandon this sinful thought from your mind. If you so desire, I will fall at your feet and ask you to have pity on me." Kaikeyi, tell me, how did this sinful thought come to your mind? Are you trying to test the extent of my love for Bharata by asking me to grant this boon to you? You love Rama as much as I do. Often you have told me, "Rama, your eldest son, is dear to me, and he is my eldest son too. He is righteous, truthful, and very dear to me." You have ever been pleased with Rama. Someone has been poisoning your mind against him, and you have been led astray by others. That is why you are torturing me like this. A great bloat will taint the name of the Ikshvakus if I agree to your wish. I still cannot believe that you can speak such harsh words. You have ever been so thoughtful about my happiness, and this is unlike you. You do not realize the extent of your foolishness in behaving thus. Bharata and Rama are both dear to me. How then can you think of Rama spending 14 years in the forest? There are so many women in my harem and among all the inmates of this palace. Not one has found fault with Rama about anything. He is loved by everyone. He is devoted to truth, and that is why he is dear to the elders. He is a great warrior, and the enemies are afraid of him because of that. He has conquered the minds of the people by his affection and by his generosity. Kaikeyi, think for a moment of Rama and his noble traits: selflessness, ability to control his senses at all times, humility, intelligence as well as wisdom, and above all, pleasing everyone by his behavior. You have known all these, and often have you spoken about them. How then can you find fault with him suddenly and find him to be such a sinner as to deserve exile from the country? I have never once spoken harshly to my Rama, and now, to make you happy, you want me to do him this injustice? How is it possible? What is left for me in this world if Rama goes away from me? Kaikeyi, I have reached the end of my life on this earth. I am old and my mind is sorely distressed by your words. Please have pity on me and change your mind. I will give you everything I can lay hands on. But grant me this: Rama should never leave me and go away. Jai Shri Krishnarpanamast. Jai Shri Ram. Om Shri Ramarpanamast. Chapter 7a of Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda. Dasharatha comes to Kaikeyi, continued. Apadamahartaram dhataram sarvasampadam lokaviramam Shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. The king was drowning in the sea of sorrow, and his appeal was piteous. Again and again he appealed to her, besieged her, but it was all of no avail. She stood firm, and he heard her harsh words. You gave me 2 boons, and now you are full of regret for having done so. How can you consider yourself to be righteous? When good people hear about this, what will they say? You will have to tell them, this Kaikeyi once saved my life, and pleased with her devotion, I granted her 2 boons, but I refuse to keep my word because it does not please me to do so. You are an untruthful man. You are born in a line of kings famed for their truthfulness. The great Sibi and the incident of the hawk and the dove are too well known for me to talk about them. Alarka, to keep his word, gave away both his eyes to a Brahmin, since he had promised to do so. I have been told that the ocean does not break its boundary because of the dharma of the kings who ruled before you. Born in such an illustrious line of kings, you wish to transgress dharma. You wish to abandon truth and righteousness, and after crowning Rama as the Yuvaraja, you wish to be happy with Kaushalya. You are a wicked-minded king, and your mind follows only the path of adharma. I am not concerned about your opinion of me. You may consider my request to be unjust, but the fact remains that you should keep your word and give me what you promised. If, however, in spite of all this, you decide to crown Rama, I will kill myself by drinking poison. I prefer death to the indignity of seeing another woman becoming the queen mother. I swear to you in the name of Bharata, I will be satisfied only by one gift: the exile of Rama. Nothing short of it will please me. Kaikeyi paid no heed to the king, who was crying piteously. He lost consciousness for a long time, and she was quite unconcerned. When he woke up, he set his eyes on her, but he spoke nothing. He had been bound by his oath, and he could not find any way of extricating himself from it. He was mumbling to himself as though he were demented, and again he spoke Rama's name. Once again he spoke to her and said, Kaikeyi, Someone has been trying to influence you and someone has made you behave like this. By nature, you never have been cruel. Some demon seems to have entered into your mind and you seem to be under its sway. All these years, you have been like an innocent child, and this is something uncalled for in you. Why this sudden decision to see Bharata as king and to see Rama banished from my presence? If you wish to save the lives of your husband and the citizens of Ayodhya, please, please think again and withdraw your request. Save me, my queen. He realized that she would not relent. His sorrow turned to anger and he said, "You are a cruel woman and your mind thinks up only sinful thoughts. You have been born just for the purpose of destruction. You have been nursing this hatred for Rama and me since ever so long, and I did not know about it. You are only dreaming about the crowning of your son Bharata. He is righteous and he will never accept the kingdom when Rama has been banished. I know him, but you do not. As for Rama, I know how much he loves me. When I tell him, 'Rama, go to the forest,' he will not speak a word in protest. How can I bear to see his face after I tell him this? Today, I called him to my presence, and in the midst of everyone I told him that he should be the Yuvaraja, and now you ask me to speak these harsh words to him, taking back what I had promised to give him. What will the many kings of the world say when they come to know of this? They will talk despairingly of me. If they question me about the reason for the banishment of Rama, what shall I tell them? If I say that I have done so since my wife Kaikeyi wished it, I will then be breaking my promise to the people of the city. How will I pacify Kausalya, Rama's mother? Because of my love for you, I have been neglecting her for the last so many years. She has been a perfect wife in spite of my indifference to her. Now, when I make her lose her son, she will not be able to bear it. Sumitra will not respect me anymore. As for Sita, the young wife of Rama, how will she react to this act of mine? You will see the death of several of us. You can be sure that I will die the moment Rama goes away. You can rule the kingdom with your son. Kosala will be ruled by a widow. I must have sinned in my previous birth, and that is the reason why I have to listen to you and your sinful wishes. I know what the world will think of me. This king, in his infatuation for a woman, lost all count of dharma and banished his son to the forest for no fault of his. What a foolish man! I wish Rama had not been such a good son. If only he would refuse to obey me, it will be a source of great happiness to me. But Rama is noble. The moment he hears my words, he will say, 'It is my duty to obey you in all things. I will do your bidding immediately.' I am dreading the future of my country. I will be gone and Rama will also be sent away. What you are planning to do with the subjects of this land makes me feel for them. I wish to stress one wish of mine. If, after my death and the exile of Rama, your son Bharata accepts the throne, he should not perform my obsequies, since I will disown him. My Rama, who has never once walked in the streets of the city, will now walk in the dreadful forests. I have never seen him without his golden bracelets and earrings, and he should wear tree bark and deer skin. He has to live on the fruits and roots gathered by his own dear hands in the forest. My mind reels at the thought of my child's plight. It seems to me women as a whole are wicked, ungrateful, selfish, bent only on achieving their objectives and unconcerned about the feelings of others. But I am wrong. All women should not be condemned thus. I can only say this about Bharata's mother. Can you not realize that I cannot live without Rama? The sun may cease to shine and Indra may forget to moisten the earth with rain and the world may still go on. But I cannot exist even for a moment without Rama. It is true of the people of Ayodhya also. No one can bear the thought of the exile of Rama. Once again, Kaikeyi, I fall at your feet. Kaikeyi, will you not relent? Dasharatha held out his hands to her and walked towards her. Without touching her feet, the king fell down senseless on the ground. Kaikeyi was adamant, and realizing that it was so, Dasharatha lamented his fate. He spoke of the beauty of Rama and his many qualities, and he shuddered to think of the morning when he would have to face separation from him. The sun had set long ago, and the night had advanced. To the king, the night seemed interminably long, and he watched the sky and began to talk disjointedly. May this star-studded sky never get brightened by the red light of dawn. I do not want the night to come to an end. Once the sun rises, my son will leave me, or else let the night pass soon. I am not able to bear the company of this sinful women. Let me go away from here as early as possible. He tried again and again to talk her out of the promise, and he could not. Finally, with a sign of sheer pain and hopelessness, the king lay down senseless. So passed the terrible night. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Ramar Pranamast. Chapter 8 of Ramayana's Balakanda, the dawn of the terrible day. Shri Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Early in the morning, the Sutas and others began to sing at the doorway of the chamber of Kaikeyi to wake up the king, as was the custom in any royal household. The king was roused, and he signaled to them to stop the music. Kaikeyi, who was impatient to precipitate the final act, made the king sit up and said, "You promised me something, and I told you about my dearest wish. After agreeing to do what I asked you to do, you are now being untruthful. You are not helping matters by lying on the ground making much of a minor matter. Truth is as sacred as the mystic letter Om. Truth is the pathway for the achievement of all the four Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Truth is the essence of the Vedas. It is shameful on your part to abandon this truth and behave like this." The king looked all around like a stricken deer. He was helpless, bound as he was by his oath. He said, "The night has passed and the world is bright once again with the rays of the sun. The elders in the court will now approach me with the desire to take me to the hall where the coronation is to be performed. With the waters collected for the Abhisheka, let Rama perform the funeral rites for me, who will die very soon. I have no desire to face my people, whose wishes I have thwarted." Kaikeyi's eyes flashed with anger. She said, "Enough of this mourning, O king. Please send for my son and crown him. Banish Rama and your task is complete. I see no reason for your dalliance." Like a high-born horse which is hurt by the unexpected whip wielded by the rider, Dasharatha winced at the words of Kaikeyi and said, "I wish to see my Rama." In the meantime, when the sun's rim appeared in the east, Vashishta, surrounded by his pupils and disciples, entered the palace. People had already begun to assemble in the hall and in the courtyards, as also in the streets, waiting for the great event. Vashishta met Sumantra, the favorite charioteer of the king. He said, "Sumantra, the king has not arrived yet. Go at once and tell him that everything is ready and that we are waiting for his coming. Tell him I have already kindled the fire and that the auspicious moment has arrived." Sumantra hurried to the chambers of Kaikeyi and entered the apartments singing the praises of the king as the Suta should. He then said, "Please wake up, my lord. Prepare yourself for the great event. The sun has risen. The entire city has gathered to witness Rama's coronation. Everything has been done as per your wishes, and we are waiting for your coming. Vashishta is here with the other priests. The hall, filled as it is with people, still looks empty without your presence, your majesty. It is like a herd of cattle without the cowherd, like an army without a commander, like the night without the moon, like a kingdom without a ruler. His words hurt the unfortunate king. It was like the twisting of a wound. The king looked at the Suta, Sumantra. His eyes were red with weeping and with the sleepless night he had spent. He was a picture of woe. Dasharatha looked at Sumantra, who stood before him, and said, "My tears, Sumantra, flow all the more when I hear your words." The charioteer could not understand what was happening. He was able to make out that something was amiss, but beyond that he could not guess. He moved a few steps away from the king, who was unable to talk even a word after that. Kaikeyi, who saw what was happening, came near Sumantra and spoke in her arrogant and imperious voice. "Sumantra, all through the night the king spent sleeplessly since he was worried because of his extreme love for Rama. Just some time back, sleep overcame him and he is dozing. Go at once and bring Rama to the presence of the king. There is nothing here to be concerned about." Sumantra's worried look of a moment ago was wiped out by the words of the queen, and pleased with the thought that he would be meeting Rama soon and that the king would perform the Abhisheka at once, Sumantra hurried away from the presence of the king. He told himself, evidently the king wants to discuss some matters of importance with Rama before the coronation, and that is why he has asked Rama to be brought to the chambers of the younger queen. Karkataka Lagna, under which Rama was born, was fast approaching, and the star Pushya was already said to have reached the neighborhood of the moon. The time was approaching for the coronation, and there was an incessant noise as of the roar of the ocean when Sumantra left for the palace of Rama. Several people asked him on the way, "Where is the king? Why has he not come to the council hall yet? The sun is rising higher and higher in the heavens, and still the king has not come out of his sleeping chambers." Sumantra said, "The king has asked me to fetch Rama from his palace, and that is where I am going. I will certainly inform the king about the fact that you have all assembled here, and that time is fast approaching when the coronation should take place." Sumantra came back to the doorway of the apartments of Kaikeyi and tried to wake up the king once again. Dasharatha looked at him with his sad eyes and said in a feeble voice, "Sumantra, you were asked to bring Rama. Have you not gone yet? I have to see my child at once. Bring him to me." Puzzled by the general atmosphere, Sumantra did not pause to think. He went fast towards the palace of Rama. It took him some time to cross the dense crowd. Soon he reached the mansion where Rama lived. Rama's palace was like the peak of Kailasa and like the dwelling of Indra himself. It was decorated with flowers, festoons, perfumes, and all the beautiful things that could be found on the face of the earth. The carved doorways, the sculptured figures which were placed here and there, the jeweled entrances to the several chambers, the birds which were making music in the gardens, the beauty of the peacocks which were strutting in the gardens, all lent charm to the glorious palace of Rama. The citizens of Ayodhya saw Sumantra in the chariot proceeding towards the mansion of Rama, and there was great excitement since they knew he had come to fetch the prince. Sumantra reached the palace and entered it. Shatrunjaya, the famed elephant which was the favorite of Rama, was there, and Sumantra imagined Rama seated on it, and a smile lighted up his face. He went inside the palace and finally reached the innermost chambers where the prince stayed. He sent word through the doorkeeper, Please announce to Rama that Sumantra is at the doorstep and wants to pay his respects to the prince. The message was carried to Rama and he asked for the Sutta to be brought with the respect due to an old and trusted attendant of his father. Sumantra went inside. He saw Rama seated on a couch which was inlaid with gold. Rama stood up as Sumantra entered the place, and his charm and beauty made Sumantra close his eyes for a moment and then open them. So overpowering was the effect of Rama's presence. Rama had dressed himself in silk, and by his side stood Sita with a chamara in her hand. Rama and Sita looked like the moon and the star Chitra. Sumantra fell at the feet of the young prince and stood humbly before him. He said, Rama, the king, your father, is desirous of seeing you. He is with his queen Kaikeyi, and I have been asked to take you there at once. Rama received the summons with a pleasant smile and turned to Sita, saying, Sita, the king and my mother want to consult me about something related to the event which has to take place now. This mother of mine, Kaikeyi, is ever thoughtful about my welfare, and she has evidently thought of something new, and the king wants to tell me about it. She is a princess from Kaikeya, and she is ever devoted to my father. Never once has she displeased him. As for me, I have always seen her with a smile, and Sumantra has come to take me there for some good fortune which awaits me there. It has to be good, since the two people who have been discussing my future are my well-wishers, and this Sumantra, who has been sent to fetch me, is another of my father's friends. I will at once go and pay my respects to my father. Wait for me here. I will come to you very soon. Sita did not speak a word. She walked with Rama to the doorway and stood watching him enter the chariot. She sent up prayers to all the gods silently, saying, The king has decided to crown my lord today. Protect him, all of you. I ask Indra, Yama, Varuna and Kubera to be his protectors. He will take up the Diksha, and you must all be by his side and guard him. Rama came out of the mansion like a lion does out of its cave, and Lakshmana, who was always with him, stood at the doorway waiting to accompany him. The glorious chariot was on its way, making a noise like distant thunder, with horses of great beauty and speed yoked to it. The jewelled chariot was making but slow progress through the crowd which had collected in front of the palace and in the streets leading to the great hall in the king's palace. It was a glorious procession, and women from the many terraces and windows of the houses sprinkled the chariot with flowers, and Rama, with a smiling face, acknowledged the affectionate shouts of the people. Each one spoke something in praise of the prince, and the progress of the chariot was slow. They were talking amongst themselves. Fortunate indeed are we, since this prince, this young man who is the home of all virtues, will be our king from today. It is a day to be remembered by all of us. The chariot reached the palace of the king. Rama descended from the chariot, and led by Sumantra and followed by his beloved brother Lakshmana, he entered the palace. Jai Shri Rama. Shri Ramar Pranamastu.